everyone. My name is Greg Ellis, and welcome to Redskin Review. This show is our 10th show of the season for the 2010 season. It's being taped on Wednesday, October 27th. And in this show, we're going to take a look back at the Redskins' 27-20 loss to Winton Woods in Week 9, and we'll take a look ahead at the final game of the year at home against Harrison. With me, as always, Dan Albers, Coach Giesting. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And Coach, we talked about it last week. Every time you play Winton Woods the last 10 years or so, it seems like it always comes down to the final portion of the game, and this game was no exception. You played a real good team on the road, and I tell you what, Fox Sports had to be happy with that game because it was a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, I had a lot of people comment. They enjoyed watching the game, and it was maybe one of the best games that Fox had put on all year and so forth. But they were just a great team, and they were playing really hard. They were playing to win the league, and being on TV and wrapping up the number one spot in Region 8 and Division 2. So they had a lot to play for as we did, and unfortunately we came out on the short end of it by a touchdown.
It's hard to overcome you had some mistakes, and against a great team like Winton Woods, it's hard to overcome unless you're playing near perfect football.
Right. Well, we had some, a couple bad snaps. I think we overcame one of them, got a touchdown on it before the half. But, it's something that is, you don't like to see, but sometimes there's reasons for it, and there's injuries and different things that occur, and kids are doing the best they can, and sometimes we get a bad snap, and we knew going in the game against Winton Woods we couldn't afford to make major mistakes and waste opportunities because we don't have the playmakers they have. They have a lot more speed than we do, and they've got some Division I guys running around all over the field, and we don't have any right now. So, but I was really happy with our kids' effort, and they were fighting until the end, and we had our chance. We were moving the ball, and it just didn't happen for us.
You start off the game, you defer the kickoff, thinking that was obviously going to be a big factor in the game, and then they open up with that big long run by Owens.
Yeah.
And could have been a lot of trouble and kind of spiraled downhill from there, but you didn't. You guys answered with a nice drive. I believe it was almost 8 minutes, wasn't it, in that first?
Yeah.
Did a nice job. You answered the bell.
Yeah, we won. I mean, we had the ball more than they did. We won time of possession and so forth, and it was really good to do. But we deferred because of the wind. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to put the offense in a position where they would be going into the wind. So it helped. We had the wind with us the first quarter. But the first, they make a 70-yard run or 80-yard run the first play of the game because we step out of position by 2 steps or so, and on our option responsibilities, and it just some of that is we can't simulate it in practice, and we just can't get the speed that we need, and you got to be disciplined, and we're a young team, and kids are going to make mistakes sometimes, and we also missed some tackles, and they made us pay.
Well, it's got to say a lot about your team and the makeup of the coaches to respond to something like that. I mean, it really shows the character of both the coaches.
Well, we tell them there's 48 minutes. The game's not going to be won in the first half, but you could lose it in the first half. And you're right, we were on the brink there a little bit because if offensively we wouldn't have come back and moved the ball and controlled things and got things calmed down, we could have been in a little bit of trouble with them. But the next 2 series on defense, we stopped them on 3 and out, and then I think we got a turnover. So we were playing better, and we were able to get to the half tied, and felt like our chances were good. That's what we wanted to be, in a position to win the game at halftime, and we were there. And the coaches had a great game plan. Offensively, they did a nice job of timing up the play so that we used most of the play clock every time and shortened the game, and it's kind of like in basketball when somebody uses the shot clock up to shorten the game and limit possessions. The same thing that we did with Glenville, and it worked pretty well for us, and we had our chances, and we didn't get it done.
Your passing game seemed to be working pretty well when you needed it to, and they really didn't seem like they had an answer for Jordan Shelton, who had another big game, 8 catches, 110 yards.
He's a good receiver. Nick throws a good ball, and they play a lot of man-to-man, and we were able to get him open a couple times, and because some of it good play calling by Coach Cook and some good routes, and it's a combination of things, and And Jordan, it's no secret, we're going to throw the ball to him 10, 12 times a game, and hopefully he catches 8 or 9 of them. So, he had a couple nice catches there at that last drive, and he's done that all year.
You had 89 yards, and there were some really hard yards for Jake Nelson to get.
Yeah.
But he seemed like when you needed on first down, he gave you a good enough yardage that it made your options on second and third down a little bit easier. I mean, not as far in distance or whatever.
Right. As the game went on, our offensive line was able to pick up their blitzes. They were blitzing in almost every play on the run blitzes inside, and I thought this was Jake's best game. I thought that he ran harder than he's run all year, and even though he didn't have as many yards, he had 89, but he was going against a quality defense, and for him to get 89 yards and, like you said, really be effective on first down for us says a lot about him, and he's up to 1,000 yards on the year now, and and we've mentioned it before, he's just a workman-like player. He's not super fast or anything like that, but he just gets positive things done for us.
And that was one of the things I was just going to talk to you about now, was the offensive line did a great job on those blitzes, picking up those blitzes. And, I don't think a lot of people realize a lot of that stuff that goes on during the game. They might see a mistake or see something there, but they don't realize the real football, if you want to say football player, know what's going on there.
Right. Well, they're playing, like I said, they played a lot of man-to-man, so that frees up guys to blitz. They're not worried about pass responsibility and things like that. And, they have a great player in Antonio Poole that was number 18. It was just, he was in our backfield a fair amount. We kind of, after a while, it was almost like he was just blitzing and taking himself out of the play a few times. And we were kind of glad he was doing it there after a while, because otherwise he could have sat back there at 7 yards and just ran downhill at us and made a lot of plays. So, yeah, it's something that they have to handle, because that's if people can't stop you. That's what they're going to do: start blitzing you, and then if you can handle that, then you're going to be successful. And for the most part, we did okay.
Nick Mason's really progressed, I think, since the first game of the year. I think he threw for 205 yards, and he threw to 5 different receivers.
Right.
You have to be happy with what you got coming back.
Well, he's done a nice job all year. He understands what Coach Cook wants him to do, and I think he's got 15 touchdowns in the year and only 6 interceptions, which for a junior is, I'll take that anytime.
Absolutely.
Take that for a senior, but he does the right thing, throws it to our guys instead of the other teams. So, as a head coach, that's great. But I'm very happy with what Nick's accomplished this year, and his knees still bothering him some, and hopefully next year. That knee's even better, and he can run a little bit better, and because he's not really a running threat at all. We went from having the best running quarterback we've ever had in Brandon to Nick, who's not a runner at all, but one of the better passers we've ever had. And so other guys have had to pick up that part of the offense, like Jake and Tanner and Stoney before he got hurt and things like that. And Nick's going to be a good player for us.
Yeah, you mentioned a minute ago, just before halftime, one of the bad snaps, you were in position to tie it up before halftime. Then you had the bad snap and took it all the way back to the 45.
Right.
And it looked like we weren't going to score, but with 13 seconds to play, Mason hits Reed Kaiser with a 45-yard touchdown pass.
Right.
How fired up was your team at halftime?
They were excited. It was a good design of the play, and the kids executed it well. It was off of play action, but it's kind of Reed was kind of hiding a little bit, and did a nice job, and their kid never saw him, and by the time he did, he was already past him, and Nick made a good throw, and Reed got it in the end zone. So, when you can finish to tie the game up right before the half, I felt like we had a lot of the momentum. We got the ball coming out, which, we'd been able to move it a little bit, so we felt good about that, and that maybe we could go down and get the lead and make them chase us a little bit. And unfortunately, we could never do that. Because it's a different game than when they have to throw when they don't want to. And because we weren't playing much pass all night, we knew we had to stop the run. And they were 3 for 3 throwing the ball, and they were all 3 big catches.
Right. The defense gave up 2 big long runs for touchdowns. Obviously, the first one to Owens for 80 yards. But then after you had to give the ball back to them to start the third quarter, Kemper scored on the 60-yard run. And that really took away our momentum. I mean, we tied up at halftime, and we had the ball coming out, like you said, but Kemper took that ball 60 yards for a touchdown. That really hurt.
Well, and I usually don't like to complain about calls or anything, but we had taken the ball like the play before. Brian Bale had tackled the football, and he had it. and we all knew that he had it, and we didn't get that call, and because at the end they stuck an arm in on the pile, and they got that, and so our guys were a little deflated. And Kemper's a great player, and he hits. He's so quick and powerful. Once he got in the secondary, he was gone, and those kind of things are just huge factors in the game, and when we've beaten them, we've generally limited their big plays. And they got 2 huge plays on us, and they had the one nice drive at the end of the game to get the go-ahead touchdown. But those other ones really hurt us.
The Vail fumble recovery, because that's what it was. He recovered the fumble. Everybody I talked to that watched that game on Fox Sports was saying the same thing.
Right.
I mean, how in the world? Because he's obviously on the ground with the ball cradled. I mean, how did we not get that call?
Kids cover him up, and they can't see who's at the bottom of the pile. But
poked in the eye.
Yeah.
It's all those kind of things. It didn't work for us this time. We didn't get that call, and that would have been a huge call, because the ball was on. We've got the ball on about their 40 probably,
Right.
Which with really good field position.
Well, Winton Woods passed the ball for a 7-yard touchdown late in the game with like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. And only the third, like you said, only the third pass.
Yeah.
And left you enough time to come back. And we really thought you were going to do it. You got it all the way down to the 12-yard line, just couldn't punch it in.
Well, we had some mistakes and pass interference, and snap over the head, different things. But we were going to go for 2 and go for the win right there. We weren't going to play overtime.
That was my next question.
Our defense was tired, and I didn't want to, I didn't feel like we necessarily had a great chance to stop them in a 20-yard zone, and they could score, so quickly. So we were getting ready for the 2-point play, and we didn't get a chance to execute it. It'd been interesting if we would have.
Right before the ball was snapped over his head back to the 32, I was just getting ready to say, "Hey Dan, what are we going to do here? We going to go for 2, or what are we going to do here?"
I would have waited till we,
Till we lined up.
Yeah. Before I gave you that answer.
We were going for 2 all the way on that, and we were the underdog going in the game, and we had to try to make something happen, and we did on special teams with Kyle blocking the punt and Austin scoring for our 3rd touchdown to tie the game up. So, we're hoping we had one more big play in us. We didn't get a chance to use it.
That was just the question I was just getting ready to ask you. Was the
big
here
tonight?
Yeah, the big special teams play? You said that was going to be a factor in the game, and it actually ended up. You're trailing, and just what a huge play, and you could just see the stadium, the emotion on the Anderson side was just they were kind of going crazy there.
Yeah, well, we thought we could get one, and Kyle did a nice job of getting Skinny through the hole and blocking it, and Austin was there and picked it up like he should and ran in. And it's been a while since we blocked a punt for a touchdown. We hardly blocked too many punts all year, but we had to try to make something happen at that point in the game, and the kids executed. Coach Newt had a good scheme. Kids executed very well.
I think Tommy Chapman did a nice job with that being. He did some nice kicks, kickoffs, and thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, he did. Tommy's legs feeling good, and he's when he feels good and gets to practice, he's a good weapon for us.
I was surprised at the offensive interference call they called on Tanner Braunhaber. Still trying to figure out, because I was watching the ball at the time. I thought the ball was already caught by Jordan Shelton, I thought, but I couldn't really tell because kind of looked up late. What was their explanation on that one?
He had made contact with him before the ball was thrown.
Did he?
And not intentionally. He's going in and establishing position, and he happened to just run into the guy before and it was a good call. We'd run a similar play earlier in the game, and he had already established position, and their guy ran into him, so it wasn't interference. But on this time, he wasn't quite set, and the timing of it was off a little bit, and that was the right call on that. We didn't think so at the time, and it's a difficult point in the game that you don't ever want to see that type of call, but it was correct. I mean, now the other one that they missed when Jordan was running, and they interfered with him, didn't let him get into his post route, is another story. But the one at the end was a good call.